Hello, movie lovers, and welcome to the show. With me, I have my good friend Kib from the Unfiltered Studios, and also for the Stupid History Minute, and also part of Unfiltered Sports. Go on ahead, grab your favorite beverage of choice, whatever it may be. Also, too, go on ahead, get Mike Larry's car, pretend that you're going undercover just like Martin Lawrence and him did. So, without further ado, let's go on ahead. Let's get on with the show. I'm excited to talk about Bad Boys. And hey, Kib, how's it going with you tonight?
Good, man. How are you?
Doing fantastic. It's always good to gather around fellow movie lovers to talk about a movie. And I remember when I asked you, I said, "How do you want to do Bad Boys?" You're like, "Hell yeah, I'm in. We're gonna do this."
Hell yeah. First off, thank you for having me. Second off,
Welcome.
that intro is impressive.
Thank you so much. I'm glad that you liked it.
Yeah, yeah. It's way better than ours.
I don't know. I like
Yeah,
y'all's too, though. You know,
yeah.
I'm not gonna bang on cut you guys down or anything on your intro. I think it's good.
No, it's all it's all good. Nah,
I'm all right.
I was excited to talk about this movie. Like I said, I got a lot of history with this movie. I don't know that there's a movie out there not named Star Wars that I've seen more.
To be honest with you, I remember in 1995, I was just 10 years old seeing this in the movie theater with my mom because she always brought me to every single movie that I wanted to go to and made her suffer through every single movie that I wanted to go to. But, it was 9 o'clock showing on a Friday night, and I was a diehard Will Smith fan. I loved him in, I loved him in, Fresh Prince of Bel Air. You also had Martin Lawrence, who was in this, who's in this too, who also had a black comedy as well with the show Martin. So it was actually a good combo to see both of them on screen and wondering how the chemistry is going to jive up.
You know, when I was in '95, I was 20. And the reason I wanted to see it is because, as I know you know, but many of your listeners may not know that I'm a stand-up comedian, and so I loved Martin Lawrence. I like studied him, and if you look closely at the credits, he's actually the first credited in the first movie, but the rest of the second and third movie aren't. Are Will Smith has the first credit, but I went because I loved Martin Lawrence. Of course, I knew Will Smith from Fresh Prince of Bel Air, and he the '80s and '90s rapper that he was. But my draw was Martin Lawrence, and quickly loved the two of those guys together. I don't know if there's a better action comedy duo than those guys.
Same here. I think the chemistry works between them. You can actually tell that they were buddy cops. This is hands down probably the best buddy cop movie aside from Lethal Weapon and
Yeah,
probably 48 Hours.
Lethal Weapon in 48 Hours. That's what I was going to say too. The charisma, but they're on par with each other.
Exactly.
But I think, in my opinion, I think Bad Boys is funnier. In my
Yeah.
opinion,
I think
you
Bad
know.
Boys is way funnier. Even in the Lethal Weapon movies, don't get me wrong. I like some of the stuff that they have in there, but I'm not on the. Here's the thing. I'm always dying laughing at this movie every single time it comes on. Every single time. Matter of fact, I own all three of them on Blu-ray for Bad
Right.
Boys. So this is hands down one of my favorite franchises.
If you think about it though, with Lethal Weapon and 48 Hours, those are kind of very very what's the word I'm looking for? Very finely. Those are kind of baby boomer age movies to where
Right.
this was the Generation X movie. This
Yeah.
that had the humor. I think I like it better because I got the humor. It was my they spoke my language, I
Right.
guess,
It was
and that
more directed towards people in the 90s era versus the
right,
80s era.
right.
Stuff. This was like our Lethal Weapon. In a sense.
Kind of. Not to say that I don't like Lethal Weapon or 48
Right.
Hours. Those are great movies, you know.
Right. Exactly.
You made me want to go watch Lethal Weapon right now.
I love the Lethal
But
Weapon movies.
oh man, they're great. But this one, just the reason that I think it means so much, to me is because it was almost kind of made for us.
Exactly.
You
So my
know.
question is for you, as a
Sure.
young 20-year-old kid
Uh-huh.
seeing this for the first time, what would you say your nostalgic rating would be?
Oh, off the charts. Yeah, off the charts. There's no the first scene grabbed me. The very first scene grabbed me. I could probably recite the entire scene for you. It was as somebody who writes comedy, it was perfect. You needed every bit of it. I don't know how many times that I've said, Wesley Snipes, Passenger 57, hand me a bleeping, well,
And
handy wipe. And I think from the first scene, there are, and the reason I say off the charts is because there are sayings that I use every day in my daily life that come from that movie. I'll give you an example. One of them is, I know what I said because I was standing there when I said it. That's a Captain Howard direct quote. And there's just many things that remind me of that time. And such it was such a fun time in my life. Not that now isn't, but I wasn't spending weeks in the hospital back then. But it just, for a nostalgia rating, off the charts for me.
okay, for a nostalgia rating for me, I'm gonna have to go at least. I'm gonna go a 7.5 out of 10 because of the fact that I was young. I was young at the time. I was 10 years old, seeing this movie for the first time in the movie theater, like I mentioned before. I was hyped up because of Will Smith because I knew him from Fresh Prince of Bel Air. I didn't really know Martin Lawrence that much until I saw the reruns of Martin in the '90s and stuff like that on USA. That's whenever I started getting into more of his comedy shtick and stuff like that, and started really liking the vibe that I got from him. And same thing whenever it came down to Bad Boys as well. I got to understand his humor a lot in that one too. So I was actually a Martin Lawrence fan coming out of the movie as well. So yeah, I would have to go with 7.5 out of 10. This is actually Michael Bay's directorial debut too.
Right.
So this is what set Michael Bay on the map of doing Transformers, doing all these other movies, and also The Rock, of course, with Nicolas Cage.
It's a good one to start. If I think if I remember correctly, he had some problems with the original script and
Yeah,
with the screenplay, and talked with Martin Lawrence and Will Smith about changing that. They actually, I had said earlier about the first scene that was actually shot as a reshoot.
wow, I didn't know
Yeah,
that
it
part.
was shot after the movie was finished because they wanted to introduce the characters in a comedic way and not a action cop way. You
I'm
know,
glad they did that in a sense to actually get the vibe of the movie and what they're going for.
sure.
Being introduced in the very first 5 minutes of the film and trying to say, "Hey, look, this is the first time that these two are actually on screen together. We want you to see the chemistry that we built up before getting into the actual movie itself." So yeah, I could definitely see why they would do that.
And I'm really glad they did, like you said.
Me too.
Really glad they did.
There's also one other fun fact that I want to mention is when Mike throws the ether out of the car and makes it explode, a cable can be seen attached to the roof.
Mm. That's when they're running running out of road, all the road in Miami, and you run out of it.
Right.
Another great line.
But this is also a financial success, though. This actually had a $19 million budget. It ended up opening at $141,407,024 million.
And to put that into perspective, in 1995, that's a lot.
That really is a lot. If you think about it in today's terms, it would be like a $250 million budget,
Mhm.
and them hoping that they could actually make a 250 make over 250.
Right.
Think
Yeah.
about it.
But
Um,
with those guys, today being, I mean, who's the equivalent? I mean, they weren't as big as they are now. Will Smith and Martin Lawrence.
right.
So it'd be tough to see who the equivalent was that, because you could argue that not really Martin Lawrence, because he had been in movies, he'd been on Def Comedy Jam, he was a stand-up comedian, he had Martin, but you could argue that this movie kind of put Will Smith on the map.
Most definitely, because after this, you have Independence Day. You have
Yep.
all these other films that Will is now doing because of that.
A great movie
So,
called Enemy of the State.
yes, that
You
was
know,
actually one of my other favorite ones that Will had done
yeah, that's a
as
great
well.
movie.
But yeah, with the nostalgia rating out of the way, with two good buddy cops now talking about Bad Boys, let's go on ahead. Let's get onto it with dissecting this thing by scene. So, welcome to the show. We dive into the best action cinema, one explosive film at a time. Your host and resident action movie Aficionado, and today we're turning the heat with one most buddy cop movies of all time, Bad Boys. And we're talking about the 1995 blockbuster that Will Smith and Martin Lawrence on the action movie map. From the high octane car chases to the unforgettable one liners, Bad Boys is a film that's as fun as forensic. So yeah, directed by Michael Bay and produced by Don Simpson and Jerry Bruckheimer. Bad Boys is more than just a movie; it's full throttle ride through the streets of Miami, packed with action, humor, and a whole lot of heart. So, without further ado, let's go on ahead. Let's dissect this thing. So, opening scene. We actually talked about this a little bit about the opening scene, Kip. I love this opening scene. So you have Marcus Barnett, played by Martin Lawrence, and Mike Laurie, played by Will Smith, are best friends and detective in the narcotics division of the Miami Police Department. One night, 100 million of mafia seized heroin is stolen from a secure police vault. This is a major blow from to Marcus and Mike because it was the biggest drug bust of their careers. Internal Affairs, led by Captain Allison Sinclair, suspects that it was an inside job with the corrupted police officers and warns the rest of the department that if they do not recover the drugs in 72 hours, the narcotics division will be shut down. But before that, we actually have them two in the car. Martin Lawrence is eating a hamburger. Will is driving his Porsche. And Martin winds up dropping some pickles, some onions, and stuff like that on his seat. He goes, "Oh shit, I'm sorry, dude. I'm sorry. I didn't mean." What the, what the fuck are you talking about? You're sorry. This is why I don't take you anywhere
Yeah.
because you don't care about other people's stuff or anything. So he goes, "All this is," and then I like how Martin Lawrence just Max talking back. He goes, "All this is like a dick with four wheels. That's all it is." I
And
just have
this
to
way the
laugh.
ball's just dragging the fuck along. Yeah.
But yeah, like you mentioned, I love the fact that they actually built up the chemistry at the very start of this film. We get the vibe of it, and then you don't expect this. This kind of reminds me of Grand Theft Auto, with the way that the scene is being played out, where you had that wide angle shot of this other car pulling up in front of them when they pull over and they're talking shit to each other,
Sure.
and these other guys come out. He goes, "What are you gonna?" He goes, "I want the car. Give me your money." And and he goes, "You see, this is all your fucking fault. This is all your fault right here. This is why we're being held at gunpoint right now."
Yeah.
And they get out of the car, and then I'll let you break down the rest of the scene.
Well, the scene really sets up it really sets up the movie. Number one, they're arguing over him eating in the car and not respecting other people's property, and then when you see the other car pull up and a woman walks across, and that gets Mike Lowry's attention. So that sets up the dude's kind of a player. He's kind of like a different girl every night kind of guy. You don't know that yet, but it's called foreshadowing, and great directors know how to do it well. And then they get carjacked. And right now you're jacking a couple of cops. Okay, now we know that they're cops. Well, if you didn't know that going in, you're an idiot. Anyhow, so then you kind of see their shtick to where every time they get in trouble, they start arguing with one another. Every time, and people get so uncomfortable they don't know how to handle it, and they wind up getting out of it. And one of my not to use too much profanity, but one of my favorite lines is when Martin Lawrence turns over the car when they're getting carjacked, and Martin Lawrence turns over the car. He's like, "Why do I always got to get the big, thick motherfuckers?" And he's like, "Damn, you a Popeye chicken eating motherfucker? What you weighing, about 350?" And I mean, just the back and forth there. And then when Will Smith said, "You want something, come and get it," and then they throw and draw their guns and all this, and one of the greatest lines in the movie, Wesley Snipes, passenger 57, now hand me a motherfucking handy wipe.
I love it.
Yeah, that's a great line, and then when it just cuts into bam, Bad Boys, and that's what you're in for.
Right, and I like the fact
That's
that they don't show us the title. It gives us like 10, 15 minutes of setup before showing us the credits, which I thought was
right.
fantastic. And I like how Martin Lawrence takes down the big, huge guy and just pistol whips him in the throat, and then makes him nailed down to the point where he actually ends up kneeing him in the face, and that's whenever he says that quote by Wesley Snipes, passenger 57. But yeah, I really like.
Yeah, probably. Um, I mean, I there are great opening scenes to movies, but ones that you don't think, because I don't think anybody thought this was going to be a blockbuster. And now with the fourth iteration coming out, I know a lot of people who can't wait for it.
I'm
you know,
excited for it.
me too, me too. I thought the third one was lackluster, but I'm really excited for the fourth one. But anyhow, back to the first one. I don't think you could see a movie in this genre that has a better opening.
No, definitely not. And
Yeah,
I like how they go in through the police station and they go through the fan. I like the camera of them going through the vent of the fan
yeah,
and dropping down and stealing the heroin and stuff. That's something that I really have to say was really cool because I never seen a shot like that in the 90s, having that kind of camera angle. Michael Bay at that time was ahead of its time by
sure.
giving us certain angles like that. And I was fanboying over the fact that I got to see something like that happening and how they managed to do a heist job within the police station itself. And you don't know it's a police station until like later on, whenever you realize, oh, they actually robbed the police station.
I think also the way that they did it by killing a decoy, empties the station, but they don't kill a real cop because they know they have the whole force on their ass. That's a direct quote, Mike Lowry. But I think that the way that they did it also kind of leads into the authenticity of the heist, and
Definitely.
you get a little backstory that this was, like you were saying in the opening, that this was their career bust. It's like $100 million, from some guy named Carrera.
Right.
Um,
And I like how we have a little bit of a backstory of how good these cops are and how much they care about their job because even Mount Glory is like, man, we ended up busting this guy, Chino, and everything. And now we're having to try and get this back into our possession before the DEA even comes up on it. And then
right.
you also have, I love the captain. The captain is hands down one of my favorite characters on here. I loved him in The Sopranos. I loved him in this. This is actually one of my favorite actors.
I think throughout, if you look throughout the entire franchise, I think the captain is probably my favorite character. Yeah, probably. He's certainly one of the most quotable, but I think he's probably my favorite character. Just how he changes, but he doesn't change. I could have done, with that, not to get too far away from this, but I could have done without the whole Woosaw stuff in the second one.
Right.
But as a captain, I thought that he was so cliche, it was perfect.
It was
Yeah,
perfect. Like it has like an '80s kind of vibe to it, where the police captain's always going to be pissed off his police officers and stuff like that. And at the end of the day, that he knows that he can rely on them, despite the fact that they end up destroying half the city block sometimes or shooting up the streets. He knows that he can depend on them at the end of the day.
what it kind of reminded me of. Have you ever seen a movie? I know the answer to this. You've seen this movie, but you remember the movie Last Action Hero?
Oh, I love that movie. I actually own
Okay,
that on my steelbook.
okay,
And I love
so do I. So do I. Another great quotable movie. But you remember the captain there, and he was just so cliche. But
yeah.
that's kind of what it reminds me. And Schwarzenegger was just like, "Shut up! Stop yelling!" It's almost what he reminds me of. But the whoever wrote this movie, and I don't know. I know they ad libbed the beginning, and I know the in the second movie they ad libbed the Reggie scene, but whoever wrote this movie wrote Captain Howard very well.
I definitely
They
did.
Yeah, because he's got some of the greatest lines, and him and Mike have some of the Will Smith's character have some of the best back and forths, with Martin Lawrence just kind of interjecting in there.
Right.
And I mean, it was just perfect. I don't know if they rehearsed that, but they had instant chemistry between the three of them.
I agree with you on that. I definitely do. My wife says I definitely didn't think that they would have a fourth movie. I kind of did because of the fact the way they ended it with Will Smith's son and stuff like that. It had like a Fast and the Furious kind of vibe. If you think about it, it felt like Fast and the Furious a little bit because of the way that the two directors directed that one. But it also ended up having let's see, the budget was between 50 million and 100 million, while the previous movies had a budget of 90 million. The franchise has historically done well at the box office. So I kind of figured they would actually.
They definitely left it open for a fourth movie. I don't think that the people who are now in charge of the Bad Boys franchise thought that Will Smith was going to slap Chris Rock at the Oscars.
Right.
You know, I don't think that they thought that that was going to happen. I don't think they thought that the writers and actors strike was going to happen either. You know,
Right.
because I don't know if you saw, you know, just a month or two ago they were filming in Miami, and somebody asked Will Smith, "Hey, you were filming, and now the movie's coming out." And it was like those were reshoots. They filmed the majority of the movie before the strike.
Right. I'm glad that they actually got most of the majority finished. And I remember that. I remember when it was in post production on production,
Yeah,
and they managed to film about half of it. So therefore,
right.
they didn't have to worry about the strikes as much, and they can just come back to it whenever they got done with the strikes. So I'm actually happy that we are getting that in August. If I'm not mistaken. I know the Crow comes out in August, and
Oh
they
no,
moved
no,
it.
no!
Yep,
Bad Boys is June 7th.
yep, June, because
Yeah,
the Crow and that was going to open up at the same day. So therefore, the Crow had to move over to August because I was like, yeah, that needs to be moved because Bad Boys is a major franchise. It makes more sense for that to move than
and then
stay in the same spot.
of course in July we get Deadpool.
Yes, I cannot wait for that.
Me neither.
But yeah, I thought that the opening sequence of them robbing the police station still holds up. I thought it was really good, very well executed. Having the 72 hours with the narcotics division will be having that kind of time limit within the movie. I thought that was really good because it ends up for me having a little bit of a suspense thing of like, oh my god, are these guys going to be able to hold up to the 72 hours before they're shut down? So I like that whole entire aspect of it.
Yeah,
Um,
great line in that scene is, you know, Captain Howard when he says for to check out the ventilation system, you know, Vargas Ruiz, you go do that now, and he pulls Mike and Marcus over, and he's like, this could definitely be an inside job. Don't rule it out. Way I see it, we got 72 hours before the DEA comes in here and shuts us down, and we're the bad guys. Just do what you do, only faster.
And then at that point, that's when they go over to Michael Amperoli's character.
Yeah,
And what
JoJo,
JoJo? What's going on, JoJo?
JoJo the
Hey,
Tire Man.
I just saw rubber. I just saw rubber, man. I don't know nothing, man. I don't know anything about no heroin or anything. Oh no, you don't know anything about a little cocaine, a little heroin or anything? No, no, no. I just sell rubber. I just sell rubber.
Uh,
And so,
you know something, Joe? Tell him something, Joe.
yo, and and then Joe's like, look, man, I don't know nothing. I'm out of that business. And so at first, Mike and them are believing him. Like, okay,
Right.
fine. You don't know nothing. We're not going to push nothing on you. Basically, he's just an informant now in case they ever need somebody on the streets or anything. So they let him go back to doing his tire business. And then we get Mike, who winds up asking Maxine
Yeah,
Max to
Max.
look for people who are newly rich and therefore suspects. She gets herself and her best friend, Julie Maud, who's played by Tia Leone, hired as an escort by Eddie Dominguez, uh, crooked former cop and part of the coup. His boss, French drug kingpin, Fauché.
Yeah.
And this guy, I'll be honest with you, they picked the perfect person to play someone like that.
Yeah, I believe you're talking about the guy who plays Fouché.
Yeah, Fauché.
Techi Cairo is his name, right?
Yeah,
The actor. He also was in the movie The Patriot. But yeah, great guy to to play kind of the big baddie. I thought they had a good guy to play Eddie Dominguez too, just because rat ex cop, kind of guy, dirtbag. I thought that they played that way, and arguably, you mentioned Miss Tia Leone. This movie introduced her.
yep. This was
Yeah,
actually her first acting job. And then I remember seeing her in that Nicolas Cage movie that I reviewed for Christmas. It was The Family Man. I watched that.
right.
I reviewed that one with Zoe from the Backlook Cinema podcast. And I love that movie. And to see her in this, she's probably one of my first crushes at 95 because of how hot she looked. I'm gonna be honest with you. But I thought they did a very good job at basically Tia's like, I don't know about this, or anything like that, Maxine. I think this is actually a bad idea. She goes, just relax, it's fine. And they're in
Yeah.
the Capone suite, and he's over there sniffing heroin and having a party, and she's like, look, I think we should just go. No, we need to dig this a little bit further. And I definitely like. Then we have that introduction into the big bad, and at first you're thinking, okay, well, they're just going to let these two escorts go, but but the henchman is actually incompetent
Right.
because he has heroin out there that was from the police station, which is evidence enough to bust them, and also to be able to let Maxime report in with Mike, and this movie would have been over in like 20 or 30 minutes because of
Right.
the fact that if they didn't have killed her off.
Yeah, I mean, you never want to leave witnesses. That's like if I hate to go back to last section here, but you got movie rules. And one
Right.
of the movie rules is never leave witnesses because that would make the, like you said, the movie 20 minutes long. But Fouché comes in. He says, "I was looking for my 2 keys of coke, and now I know where they are." And you treat yourself well, Eddie. And just showing how much of a dirtbag he was, how much of a calculating guy that Fouché is. That's one thing. They haven't had a better bad guy than him. The first bad
No.
guy is always the best. I mean, if you look at like the Avengers, Loki is the best bad guy. I mean, the best bad guy is always the first bad guy. So I think with there, but yeah, Taya Leone coming in. Oh yeah, party at the Biltmore. That's going to be great. I think it set up her character well to be argumentative, which she is throughout the entire movie.
Right. And
you
she's
know,
also someone that will get people killed because of what she does. We'll get into
right?
that a little later, but
Sure.
I definitely love the fact that she's upstairs and then she sees Maxine by herself, and you see the whole entire thing go down where the guy winds up wasting her on the floor with
Hmm.
taking a pillow, blasting her, and then blasting the henchman, and that's it. That's the end of it. Eddie dies. She dies. Leaves Tia Leone's character to survive, and then she winds up jumping into a swimming pool after the chase scene. And yeah, but what did you think of the stunts though when it came down to Tia Leone, with Julie just jumping out the window and jumping into the pool on top of the roof and all that stuff?
I think there's a couple of things. I think it's 1995 technology,
Yeah,
and so I think you could tell that it's not her, a couple of times. But I thought, um, I'm not going to overuse the word cliche here, but when you look out of a window and can you name another 90s movie that somebody jumps out of a window into a pool?
I can. True
Yeah.
Lies.
Okay, True Lies. I could Lethal Weapon 2.
Yep.
I mean, it's kind of like a 90s rite of passage, if you will, that we're going to jump out and there's a pool there, so it's all good. It doesn't matter how high we're going to jump from, but there's a pool, we're fine. It
Right.
might be
Exactly.
it might be 4 feet deep, and who knows if I'm going in head first or whatnot, but it's a
Water
pool.
will
It's
save
water.
you.
It's fine, you know. It's going to be all good. I'm going to come up, and another thing that bugs me about that scene is that when she comes up, it's like she's been underwater for like 30 minutes. She comes up with this big breath like that, and I'm like, dude, you were in there for like 10 seconds. You
6.
hit you hit the water, you come up. You can't be out of breath. Come
It's
on.
not like you were on Titanic with Jack and you're doing that and you're watching the ship sink and you're on the ship with them and you're having to breathe underwater to swim.
Right.
Exactly.
I mean, and that's a whole nother story about
Right.
flotation devices and doors. That's a whole nother story. Anyhow, but it's the believability, but it's a movie, and it's there to
Exactly.
entertain. Was that scene entertaining? It absolutely was entertaining. With the shots, with her running through the hallway and them shooting at her, and finally finding the jumping off the roof into the pool. Yeah, I thought the stunts were okay. I mean, they're in 1995. I wouldn't. I don't think Tom Cruise would put him in Mission Impossible, but
I don't think so
uh,
either. But I'm
you
glad
know,
it wasn't like a shaky cam like we get today either. I'm
right,
because some people like, okay, well, let's add shaky cam to it to add the suspense to it. But I'm glad Michael Bay at that time was like, you know what? I'm just gonna let the scene be the scene and let it play out the way it needs to be played out, and not add anything else to it because that's the job of the actor to actually make it believable. It's not up to me to be able to do something with my camera to make it that way.
And I'm glad Michael Bay doesn't add the J.J. Abrams patented, flair to the flare scenes like in Star Trek and
Oh
then
yeah,
Looper. They Michael Bay really what you get to look for him is a bunch of explosions, and we get
the
them.
spinning camera angles.
Yeah, yeah, That's actually a Bad Boys, rite of pat. Like you gotta have it.
Right, exactly. That's the
You gotta
signature.
have it. Yeah, you gotta have it. If I'm quite certain the fourth one will have it. Yeah, I'm quite
I'm
certain they
pretty
will.
sure too. Even in the second one, it had it, and then in the first
Yeah.
one, it definitely had it too.
Mhm.
But yeah, the madam who hired Julie and Max is disposed by Noah, and who then knocks out Mike as he investigates Max's death. Because at this time, Mike is over there trying to investigate something that happened, and he gets knocked out because he ends up finding out that the madam is actually dead,
Right.
and nobody knows where Mike is either. Um,
Yeah, he got this. He was gonna go check out. Her name was Lois Fields, and he was gonna go check her out. And I guess Noah beat him to it, and and wound up knocking him out. But the scene that comes next was probably one of my favorite scenes.
oh yeah, although she has not met Mike because of Maxine's relationship with Julie, will will only trust and deal with Mike. However, he is followed by the lead on the madam when she contacts the police about the murders, threatening to run if she does not speak to Mike. Captain Conrad Howard forces Marcus to impersonate Mike to get Julie to cooperate. And I love this scene because he's on the phone with his wife and he's still trying to get some from his wife.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
he goes, baby, you had the red ones with with the straps and everything. He goes, but you said you would wait. What you said the quality? Well, you're not home. And then the phone rings. He goes, hold on 1 second. And then he goes, yeah, I need those files unlocked. I need. The next thing you know, you see Queen. Then you see the captain come over there because they get a phone call, and I'll let you break that down.
So the captain comes over there and says, "Where's Lowry?" And he said, "He went to go follow up on this Lois Fields lead." And he's like, "Lois Fields, the madam?" And the phone rings. Captain Howard picks it up. This is Mike Lowry's desk. Said, "Yeah, can I speak to Detective Mike Lowry, please?" And he's like, Mike Lowry's not here. I have another detective here. He's like, "No, I just saw a murder, and I will only talk to Detective Mike Lowry. You wouldn't be talking about the murder at the Biltmore Hotel tonight, will you?" Yes, and I'll only talk to Mike Lowry. I'm gonna blow down. Hey, Mike, Mike, nah, he's coming right now. Yeah, Mike, you have a phone
And I
call.
like, and then and then of course here, this is actually how Marcus looks. He goes, looking around, and he goes, and then we're gonna pretend to be Mike. I can't be Mike. I know I'm known. He goes, yeah, this is Mike Lowry. What?
Yeah, I'm Mike Lowry.
There-
Yeah, that's not how he talks. He sounds sexier. Captain. Hello.
and you know what? This is actually like direct. Like he's a director. He goes, look, that's not sexy enough. You gotta sound like him. You don't sound sexy at all. Just Mike Lowry.
Yeah. And he's like, hey, calm down, calm down. Mike to the rescue. Yeah. Captain Howard's like, get to this address right now. Nah, man, get Mike down in here. Get to this address. You won't see your wife for a month.
And then I just thought that scene was hilarious. I thought the chemistry between him and Marcus is really good because now you get to see a one-on-one thing between them to see if there's actually any chemistry between the captain and Marcus, and it's really good. I really thought it was well executed.
Yeah, I thought whenever they're away from each other, they're both very talented. So whenever they're away from each other, they have to command the scene. But Joe Pantoliano, he is a seasoned actor as well, So I just he kind of knows as an actor, you kind of got to know. I don't want to say know your place, but he knows he's not the draw in that scene. So I thought again another form of Captain Howard being so well written, and I mean, I could sit here for 3 hours and bore you with Captain Howard scenes because they're probably outside of Star Wars. They're probably my favorite in cinema. Period.
You know what? I watched it just for it. Come to think of it, like even when I watched the second and third one, I'm wondering what the captain is doing in every single movie because it's my draw to the captain.
Yeah, I mean,
It's because I always want to know what Mike and Marcus are gonna do to piss him off.
so I know we're talking about the original. I gotta bring this up because we're talking about Captain Howard. In the second one, when he sits there, he's like, I hate you guys. Okay, do you guys get up in the morning and say, hello, Marcus, hello, Mike, how are you doing? Now how are we going to fuck up the captain's life today? It just, that man strikes me funny. He didn't really strike me funny in The Sopranos, which I've watched numerous times. He was also in The Matrix.
Yep.
He was also in The Matrix. He's been in a ton of stuff. But most notably Sopranos and the Bad Boys franchise. But I mean, again, I want to meet the man who wrote his lines.
Me too, because his lines are perfect.
Oh man, they're great. I mean, he is. I will go so far as to say, as captains go in a buddy cop movie, he's the best by far. Not even a contest. Not even a contest. Anyhow.
But yeah, then Marcus goes over to Julie's apartment. He has then he goes, yeah, this is Mike Larry. So he goes, okay, show me some ID. So he shows her the ID through the peephole, and then she lets him in. Next thing you know, she takes a Louis Slugger bat and just about to beat the hell out of him. Just easy, lady, easy. It's me, it's Mike. I'm here to help you. We're gonna put you in protective custody and everything. Just you don't look like Mike. Well, I wasn't expecting to walk into Yankee Stadium either.
Right.
But, But
you,
I like.
You want to go at this alone? Fine. Oh, the bad guys probably know where you live, which means they're on their way. Good luck.
And then she winds up saying, well, I need to stay at your place. He goes, hell no, you're not going to stay at my place.
Yeah. My place. Mike Lowry's place. Oh, yeah. You're right. We go to Mike Lowry's place.
Yeah, my place is a shit. Yeah, okay. We'll go to Mike Lowry's place. Yeah.
Which introduces probably of this movie, outside of Will Smith and Martin Lawrence, my second favorite character in Chet the Doorman.
Yep. The Doorman
Chet,
is my favorite.
The Doorman is the man, dude. Chet is the man.
I really love his character. He's actually hands down one of my favorite characters. He also played in, I want to say he played in Becker, which is also a Ted Danson sitcom.
Right.
And I liked him in that too, as well. But yeah, so after that happens, in order to continue the description, Marcus and Mike switch lives. Marcus tells his family he is going to Cleveland for another drug case, leaving Mike to stay with them. Marcus then moves into Mike's apartment with Julie and her dogs. In Julie's presence, Marcus poses as Mike, while Mike poses as Marcus. And I like how he walks.
Do you remember the name of the dogs?
I remember one of them. What? I can't remember.
It was Luke and Dookie.
Yeah, Luke and Dookie.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Luke and Dookie.
And he doesn't even know. Here's the thing: Marcus doesn't even know what Mike's place even looks like, or the light switch. He goes, "Man, I'm always doing decorating around here and everything. I'm always losing my shit. I'm always losing my light switches. I don't know where anything is." All of a sudden, you see Julie. She puts on the light switch. Oh, good, you found the light switch.
I'm always moving my switches.
Always moving my switches. And then he winds up saying, "Look, I got some T-bones. See, I'm always losing my shit. I don't know where my fridge is. It's right over here. Got some T-bone steaks for you and Dookie, and everything's gonna be okay. We're gonna take care of you. You're here with Mike Larry. You're at Mike Larry's house."
My favorite part of that whole thing, before they get upstairs, when he tells her to stay in the car, You know, when they're like running away, and she's like, "What's this? A station wagon? Oh my god, you got a baby seat in the back. You have a baby seat in the back." So they get to Lowry's place, and he has to go in and talk to Chet, and Chet's like, "Yeah, who's the girl? How's your wife?" You know, and so he gets in there that he's deputized, and anyhow, he gets up there. They go through the scene you just talked about with, and when he comes back down, Chick goes, "Oh, one of those guys, huh?"
Yeah, and I like how Marcus is over there looking at Julie. He goes, "Come on." I like how
Yeah,
she goes, "Look, I can be a cop. I went through the police academy and everything. Look, if you want me to, I can have a little stool right here outside where Mike's apartment is, and I can read a newspaper just like how they do in the movies."
yeah.
You
Do that from here. Do that from here. Can you do that from here? Yeah, you my deputy. You do that from here. I can do that from here. Yeah. As Tia Leone or Julie Mott's, the character's name calls him earlier, Chet the mini moron doorman. And there, I know we're going to get to it, but there's another line involving Chet later that is probably my favorite line out of the movie, and it very I look at jokes, I write jokes, I listen to jokes all the time. Usually what makes me lose it is something very simple and very stupid, and it's that line to this day. I don't know how many times me and my friend Brad, who watched this when we were in Gainesville, Florida, going to school, how many times we paused the VHS from Blockbuster to that part. We'll get to it in a second, but
okay.
it is very, talk about nostalgia. It reminds me of a lot that went on. Almost 30 years ago.
It's hard to believe that this is actually close to 30 years that
Yeah,
the very first Bad Boys was released.
yeah.
Um, but I also like how the captain goes, "Look, you're Marcus, you're him, he's you. Okay, that's it." And I like how they have to actually Marcus has to make up the lie that he's going over to Cleveland to go out of town, and now actually Mike is over there with the wife.
So the scene where Captain Howard tells him, hey, you be Marcus, or you be Mike. If you have to be Mike, whatever, you be you, but not around her. And all that where he's shooting the basketballs.
Right.
Is probably one of the best scene with the three of them until the second one. But yeah, the back and forth with Will Smith, Martin Lawrence coming up the escalator before that meeting, to where it's like, I want to know who whooped your ass. I want to know who whooped Shaft's ass. And just creating that dynamic between the two of them, that they're great friends, they're partners, they know each other a long time, but they are just like everybody. They give each other shit, and that, creating that dynamic, because if that's not there, then and that goes to Michael Bay, the director. If that's not there, then it doesn't work down the line.
Exactly. And I just love it. We talked about the chemistry over and over again.
Sure.
It's just perfect. And as the investigation proceeds, with Mike and Marcus calling in on their old informants, including JoJo, a former chemist and drug convict who now works at the tire shop. Later, Julie identifies Noah while looking through the mugshots. The two cops then head off to Club Hell, one of the known hangouts. And we'll get into Club Hell in a minute, but I like how now JoJo knows that they know something's up, because the first time they just let him go. He goes, "Hey JoJo, what you up to, man?" Next thing you know, he just starts running, and then, "Oh no, no, JoJo, no!" I'm like how Marcus is over there doing that, and then but you also see another scene before that though, is where now you have Marcus, aka Mike, who goes over to his
Right.
own apartment and sees them, and he goes, "Oh, look, she's got dogs. Isn't that cute?"
Yeah, you let him ride all over the furniture, you know?
"Oh, is
Yeah.
that a little shit stain over there? What's going on over here?" "Oh, that's just Dookie. He crapped all over the floor." Oh, did he? Yeah, I was gonna ask Mike if I can go on ahead and get that taken care of, but he said, "No, don't worry about it." Oh, look at him. He's a stand up guy.
That's also when somebody comes through the door, and Marcus is like, "Get out of here, lady!" like that, and he goes back to Will Smith. He's like, "Who was that?" He's like, "That was a vet stalking me." And Will Smith's like, "A vet is a masseuse." Oh yeah, she massages shit.
And then she
Yeah,
goes, "Yeah, she was also half naked." What? He threw
she was
him a vet out half naked.
she was naked, titties hanging out a little bit. Yeah, you threw a vet out naked. Yeah. Is there any and TLO is like, is there any more half naked women coming around here? Yeah. Yeah. What a great back and forth.
Right?
Those
Because this
guys.
is why you don't respect people's shit. You don't respect anything.
I've been telling you that for years. Yeah, and that's a common theme too. That's a common theme too. But when they interrogate JoJo with guns to his head, and then when I guess Mike Lowry had had enough of waiting, with guns to his head in that exchange. They find out that there's another chemist that has a rich mom and daddy that live out in Coconut Grove. And I'm
And
sure,
then,
I'm sure you're gonna go through that scene.
right. Well, I'll let you break that one down too.
So they go out to Coconut Grove and they go to this house that they were led to, and they go in, somebody's dead. And, if you've never seen the movie, spoiler alert, Marcus and Mike Lowry are narcotics cops. But it's a funny thing that when you deal in the world of drugs, sooner or later somebody's going to turn up dead. Sooner or later. So they go into this house and they knock on the door and nobody answers, but the door's open. And so they decide to say that they're the next door
Our
neighbors.
neighbors.
Right. And and Martin Lawrence tells Will Smith, and they're kind of in a affluent neighborhood, tells Will Smith he's got too much bass in his voice, that he needs to sound a little bit more, quote unquote, white, and says, "We were wondering if we could borrow some brown sugar."
Burger. And then, you know, as that scene's being played out, you already know this is not good. There's no one answering the door. The door's already open.
Right.
And then you see the library and the study. The guy's laid out on the desk, and they're looking for clues. Mike winds up moving the body a little bit. Just,
Right.
you shut that shit up. Because man, you always do this whenever you see dead bodies around.
My favorite line out of that scene is when he's moving the body and the leg comes in. He's like, "Man,
Yeah.
watch where you swinging a dead leg." Oh man, I love that. He's like, "Dead bodies, dead ends." And he starts that he's gonna try to throw up, and he's leaving. He's like, "Man, how about we go get some burritos?" Just another thing of them giving each other shit.
Because oh shit, is that flies?
Maggots.
Maggots. And because man, you always act like this when you see dead bodies and everything. Quit acting like you've never seen a dead body before. And then after that happens, we actually see, Tia Leone is over there. Julie is looking through mugshots and things like that, and she identifies one of the people. And at that point, they decide, okay, well, we're gonna go down to Club Hell. And the way Club Hell looks, it looks like something out of a Marvel comic book.
It really
It looks
does.
like
Yeah.
it looks like a place that bad guys would go to.
Sure.
It looks like an upside down cross. The way that the hell looks and everything. This looks like a
Yeah.
place that you don't want to be at. And
Yeah.
yeah,
I mean, goth club at its best, but it's very. I don't know how much time you've ever spent in Miami. It is very Miami.
yeah. I never been to Miami before. I've been to Orlando. I've been
Yeah.
around that area and also to around parts of Florida. But yeah, it definitely has a Miami vibe to it.
It's definitely Miami. Yeah.
But yeah, at that point, eager to dish out revenge on Fauché for killing Max, the criminals spot them first after a brief fight between Marcus and Casper in a car chase, which ends with Noah getting killed by Mike. All three manage to escape. The incident is caught by camera by a news helicopter. Okay, that's whenever they hop into the helicopter, winds up hopping into the back of the van, and they have the kerosene and all that in the back of the truck.
Yeah, the
Uh,
ether.
yeah, the ether.
Yeah, when they're
Um,
trying when they're getting chased.
yeah,
Where the cops? Why are they chasing us?
and she even said, "Well, Why are we running? You're the cops. You're not supposed to be running."
Right. Right.
And then
Hey, we're running out of road. Oh, the road to Miami, and you run out of it.
also too, another funny part too that happens is while Marcus is getting his ass kicked in the men's room, you have
Yeah.
Mike over there watching a stripper,
Yeah.
and he's over there
Yeah.
watching her foot. And then Marcus is finally winds up slamming one dude's head into the toilet bowl. And I thought that action sequence was really cool. And then he gets thrown into the fish tank that they have. And
It, that was one of the concerns I had going into this movie was that could Martin Lawrence pull off a fight scene? Could he? Because this guy, I mean, if you've watched Martin, it's not necessarily the most the most, um, the biggest guy, right? But could he pull off a fight scene? I mean, Will Smith's a big dude, so you figured he could, but could I thought that scene set the tone for Martin Lawrence because he I mean it was funny, it was well choreographed. It kind of looked like he was getting the brunt of it, but then he walks away and Mike comes to the rescue when he sees what's going down. When he gets there, it's all over, and he's like, "Who hauled off and whoop your ass now?" And just more to the dynamic of what they are because and this is again foreshadowing because it's when we get to the end of this movie it's kind of Marcus centric.
yes, very
you know
Marcus centric,
yeah
especially the way it ends on that note. But
yeah
another thing too is we also forgot to mention the fact that Marcus goes back over to his wife's house when he's supposed to be going undercover because they're looking at old high school pictures too.
yeah
And he goes, "No, Mike, put it back in. We don't want Marcus to find." That's it. I had enough. I'm going over.
he's like it's like can't get my quality time. Oh, but Mike can get quality time. Okay. Yeah.
And even Julie's over there saying, "Yeah, if I was Mike, if I was Marcus, I wouldn't trust him. I wouldn't." They're probably
Yeah,
over there making love right now. And
yeah, I
next thing you
bet.
know, they got into Marcus's head to go over there to spy on Mike.
Oh yeah.
Just
Oh yeah, it just goes to show you no matter how well you know somebody, there's always that thought in the back of the head that a woman can't be trusted. I'm just kidding, but
that your best
I'm
friend
just
can't be
kidding.
trusted. Right.
Yeah. Now you're gonna get a bunch of don't DM movie lovers unite. You got a problem with what I said? I'm at Kev lives that stupid minute. That's fine.
Trust me, I already
I
had anime people come at me. So yeah, it's cool.
really.
Yeah, for One
Uh,
Piece.
I guess it's better than the flat earthers. I had like 6,000 of those guys come after me. But anyhow, back to the movie. Great scene where they're over there, and then I don't know if we're to it yet or not. Where the guys are watching, his house, and he calls
Um,
Vargas and uh, Ruiz or whoever, and says, "Hey, come and get these guys."
right. And then at that point, after all that happens, to go to Club Hell, and that's when we're at.
Yeah,
But I just thought it was funny because now they're caught on camera
the
through the
the
news network.
right
Because,
through the
hey mom,
helicopter.
I thought you said that dad was in Cleveland.
He only wishes he was in Cleveland, you know. And anyhow, so when they find that, um, who did they get the information from for the Yeah, it's from that guy from Club Hell. It was
Right.
from that guy. Yeah, and so another great line when they're watching. I don't know if we're here yet, but when they're watching the people take the drugs in, and the guy come out and he was like, "I want swimming ducks in here," and Julie gets out of the car and they're both looking at it, and it's like. Hey man, it can't hurt to take a peek. And Marcus like, if they fire a damn bullet over here, it's gonna hurt.
And after then also too at the club they discover barrels of ether. We've talked about the witch's
Yeah,
foot is using to cut and refine the heroin. So Mike and Marcus decide to visit Jojo again after an aggressive and convincing good cop bad cop act from Mike and Marcus. Jojo tells them the location of the chemist who is cutting the stolen drugs. After staking out his house, they follow
yeah.
him to where Fauchette is hiding the drugs. So yeah. Then they return over to Mike's apartment and Julie, where they confronted by Marcus's wife there, Teresa, who confirms Julie's suspicion that they have been impersonating each other. This causes Julie to storm off. By Fauchette and his gang arrive at Mike's apartment and kidnap Julie. Because of this, Infernal Affairs assigns all members of the narcotics division, officially shutting them down. But Captain Howard delays the order to give Mike and Marcus more time to solve the case.
Um, okay, real quick. Okay, when they're in the apartment and they're getting ready to go before Teresa Burnett shows up. Okay, and it's just Mike and Marcus, and let me back up just a second. Before they go to Club Hell, okay, there's a conversation between Marcus and Julie, right, in Mike's apartment, right, and she thinks he's Mike, and says that, hey, me and my partner, we're going we're going to Club Hell tonight. She's like, what? Are you going to, leave me here with Chet, the mini moron doorman? And Marcus goes, and this is my favorite line of the entire movie. Marcus goes, Chet is very good. I don't know why I love that line. Just the way Martin Lawrence says it. Just Chet is very good. And like, if you're not paying attention, you'll blow right by it.
Right,
And
because at that moment it's like he's becoming Mike Larry to the
yeah.
point where he's believing in himself because he doesn't even know Chet that well, but he's supposed to be a great doorman.
Chet is very good. Yeah, man, we had deposit. We were laughing so hard back in '95. It came out on VHS. I mean, I bet you if I looked hard enough, I still had. I never returned it to Blockbuster. I probably still owe Blockbuster $100 for late fee on that thing that I didn't pay. I think sooner or later you just own it. But it was just a great line. Anyhow, sorry, I mean to
No. I love that. I love that
back
scene
that up.
too.
Yeah, it was a great scene. So I think right now we're at the scene where they Fouché and the guys figure out where Mike Lowry's apartment is, right?
Right. And then of course you have the confrontation with Teresa at that time. And she goes, Marcus, what did you said that you were gonna be out of town in Cleveland and everything, and here you are with her? He goes, look, baby, I'm undercover. Look, let's talk about it somewhere else. And then
So,
at that point, then you have Julie who looks at Mike Larry. He goes, like, look, if his wife can find him that easily,
yeah, I'm better
they
on my
already
own. Yeah.
know that they're on their way.
Yeah, and when Teresa Burnett, played by Teresa Randall, says, you know what? I just hope that you and Mike and your little white girlfriend are very happy.
Happy together. He goes, baby, I know what you're thinking. I know what you're thinking. That we're having an orgy over here, but we're not.
Yeah, you see me, I come out with a shirt off. You see Mike, he half butt naked. Ain't nothing like that going on over here.
It's perfectly normal. It's an everyday life of Mike and Marcus. It's
Yeah,
perfectly
yeah,
fine.
baby, I'm telling you, I'm being real. She's a material witness. Teresa just turns around, starts walking. She's a witness.
Right at that point, she's gone. She's done. She's done with the both of them. But also too, I like how whenever Julie first sees Mike's pictures all over the place, he goes, "Oh, so is it normal to have your partner's pictures all over the place, all over your apartment?" That was also one other thing I forgot to mention.
There's also when they were looking through the pictures. You know, right? That same scene when they're looking through the pictures, and he makes himself a bologna sandwich, and she's got a problem with the bologna sandwich, and she's like, you know, it was an animal. It's probably had a name, and Martin Lord's like, my bologna has a first name. You know, he's like, how about the pickle? Can I eat the pickle?
Pickle.
Yeah,
Yeah, it has a lot of calories, but yeah, it has a lot of salt, but yeah, you can eat the pickle.
yeah, yeah. I love that scene. You know, to
But
where I mean, there's a bunch of them like that.
but I thought the chase scene for this was really good
Sure.
too, where he's running through everything. Where basically you have Mike running through a beauty salon, and he's trying to catch up with the henchman, and he goes, "By the way, your hair looks great. Keep up the awesome work. It looks fantastic." And
Yeah,
he winds up running out there, and then you see him running on top of cars. It's a typical uh action movie at that point. It's very. And then another thing I liked was whenever you see Marcus and him both laying on the ground trying to shoot at this car, and then when they get up and they have that spinning, like you said, it's their signature.
it's
You have to
iconic.
have a
Yeah.
Yeah, you have to have a spinning cam for that scene, and rather than the dramatic effect to it. I thought it was really good.
Yeah, I thought the chase scene. I personally I didn't think it lasted long enough. I thought what was great, and looking back on it, and I know you do, but I'm a tough guy to watch a movie with because I dissect them because I'm a Star Wars fan. I'm used to it, and if I really like a movie, I mean, I can take like the perfect movie and I can find something wrong with The Godfather. You know, I mean, but I didn't think it doesn't change its entertainment value, but
Right.
like they did enter some cliche things that you have to have in a chase. When two people are chasing people, or when you're chasing somebody on foot, you have to throw things like the wheelchair basketball players that that slow them down. They're running through stores. Apparently, every store has a back door. In Miami, I know quite
Right.
a few. I'm about 4 hours from Miami, and I know quite a few here that don't have back doors. So but apparently Mike Lowry got lucky. That one did. And he was telling all the old women, "Hey, you look great." Running through the streets of South Beach. And I thought it was perfect, perfect when they at the end of the chase when he's trying to shoot, they're getting shooting at the cab when Mike Lowry takes Martin Lawrence and over, and he's like, don't ever say I was never there for you. I thought
Right.
that was a great line between the two, and then they stand up and you get the panoramic shot, which is the money shot of Michael Bay.
Right. And then like he goes, "I love you, man." Because man, you always get sentimental during a shootout.
Because
um,
I'm happy we survived.
it-
You know,
but yeah.
I I've got a story about that line at the end when we get there.
Okay,
Remind
I'm
me,
looking forward to
remind
hearing
me.
it.
I got a story about that line.
So now we're back at the police station, and
Yeah,
with the help of the hacker named Fletcher, who's
yeah.
played by John Sally, they access Domingo's police database profile and learn that the police station secretary Francine, played by Anna Thompson. And by the way, this is actually the third movie I've reviewed with Anna Thompson in it.
Okay,
The Crow, she played in The Crow. She played Darla. She also
right.
played in True Romance.
Okay.
So and now this one. So those are the three movies that featured her in this movie that I'm reviewing.
Who did she
Um,
play in True Romance?
she actually played a hooker at the very beginning, where basically Christian Slater is over there talking to her about kung fu movies, and
Yeah,
she goes, and she's just pretty much just ignoring him, and so that's
she
the
was. You know what? She was also in a movie called The Unforgiven with
uh,
Clint Eastwood.
okay. It's been a long time since I've seen that one, so I
Yeah,
haven't. Yeah, okay,
yeah. She
but
was
yeah,
also in that movie. She was the one that got her face messed up, and yeah, she was in The Unforgiven. If unless I'm confusing my westerns, I'm not a real big western guy.
I'm not either. But if
That's
there's
not called
one,
Django Unchained. You know, I mean Tarantino, I'll drop what I'm doing for him, but you know, I'm pretty sure she was in The Unforgiven.
okay. But yeah, every single time whenever they try to go up to her, she's like, "I'm sorry, I just can't unlock the file." And at first you're like, "Okay, you actually believe her," but going back and rewatching it, you realize, okay, she's not playing good.
No.
She's not hiding anything. She's just if you first watch it, you're like, "Okay, yeah, she just doesn't, she can't unlock it." But as you watch it again, you realize, okay, this woman's hiding something.
Yeah, I think also Francine was her name.
Yep.
Francine in the movie, but
Played Dominguez's former girlfriend. Francine
right.
explained that she was blackmailed by Fouché and Dominguez for narcotics information after they took new photos of her and threatened to post them all over her kid's school.
So when she finally fesses up and gives him a phone number, am I skipping a bunch here?
No, 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 no. You're right on target.
Okay, so when it finally fesses up, this was the first movie that I can remember that really taught us that that we could track somebody through a cell phone.
Right.
You know,
And
that cell phones have GPS on them.
that was interesting. That was like ahead of its time for 90s technology, especially when you
Right.
look at the grid of it and things like that too. It's like the first time that we actually got introduced to GPS in the 90s. And it
Right.
looks like an 80s video game, the way that they
It really
have the design
does.
look.
It looks like the old Star Wars. You know, so you know, are we doing this on DOS still? You know, but yeah, it was weird. It was like, you know, the precursor to Life 360. You know, and if your wife wants you to put Life 360 on your phone, pass. But yeah, I think it was the first movie that I can remember. And I'm a very avid movie watcher. That yeah, that GPS was used to track because you know they call them and say, "Hey, speak to Romeo." There's no Romeo here, you know, and then they got him, you know, so they can find where they're going.
Right. What did you think the other two detectives, the other two buddy cops?
Yeah.
What do you think of them?
I
I mean,
thought they're cast very well. If you watch shows like Narcos and watch shows like, I thought that they were put there to give it some authenticity for being in Miami. I think because like in the beginning when they're all standing around the place where you know, in the property room where the drugs were stolen at, and they're like, you know, takes somebody have a lot of guts to do this. And he's like, yeah, cojones too. And he's like, what the hell are you
oh,
talking about cojones? He's like, it would take me a month to explain. You live in Miami, you don't know what cojones mean, you know. I thought that they were good. Those two actors have been in some stuff since then. Been in quite a few things. Typically, when they need a Hispanic role filled. I thought they were the perfect blend. If you look in the second one, they're two different actors, but same kind of parts. Not so much in the third one because now you're dealing with cops that are older, you know, and it was more of the younger crew coming in, and the older crew. I can't wait to see how the dynamic between everything in the fourth one based on the trailer, which I'm sure you've watched. Um, yeah, but yeah, to answer your question, I thought that they were. It would be less of a movie without them because you need that conflict, you know,
you
and
do.
just
You need another two detectives who have like a buddy cop kind of flavor to
yeah,
it besides Martin Lawrence. And I would like to see a spin-off thing just for them two to be in
sure.
it.
Oh,
That
have you ever seen the movie The Other Guys?
yeah, I have.
Yeah, it was kind of like you know the Samuel L. Jackson and The Rock kind of. I mean the contrast. I'm not saying that they're like that, but the contrast between the two. But at the end, when they're like, "Hey, look, there's going to be, you know, some stuff going down. It could get you killed." They were up for it. They were ready to go. Yeah, because they understood that they were all on the same team. Sleepy saying more Spanish
More,
people in the fourth one.
I agree. You know what? They definitely do need more Spanish or Cuban people
It's
inside.
Miami. It's
Yep,
Miami. Yeah.
you need to have that vibe if you're doing a Miami movie.
Sure.
But yeah, so organize a plan to stop the criminals, Sanchez and Rose, from killing Julie and selling the drugs. A final shootout erupts between the group of cops and the drug dealers at Loca Executive Airport. Marcus is shot in the leg after saving Julie from Fauché but manages to kill Casper by shooting some nearby barrels of either which blow up Casper and some nearby thugs. After Mike kills Ferguson, he attempts to catch Fauché and shoot Mike while escaping the building, which is now on fire. But he is rescued by Marcus and Julie, who left to get Mike's car. So that action sequence, I thought it was really neat. You have the chemist there, you have Fauché there, you have a lot of setup there where you have the money briefcase, you have your typical showdown for the climax.
Yeah, comment just came in. That's a great. I don't know about the
Yeah,
best one-liner in the movie, but I mean, there's quite a few. But it's certainly one of the more famous ones. It was put on the original trailer, and I would raise you one that Mike Lowry says when he finally gets in the car and they're chasing after Fouché. Marcus, how the hell you gonna leave a gunfight to go get the car?
car. Right. I love that because what the hell are you gonna get leave a gunfight to get a car?
You know,
And
man,
then
that gunshot wound must have done something to improve your driving
your
skills.
skills. From now on, that's how you're supposed to drive. From now on, drive like that.
You know what? We forgot one of the greatest conversations in the movie towards at the very beginning when they're riding in the car, and he's like, "You know what? You drive almost slow enough to drive Miss Daisy." Yeah, he's like, "You driving like a bitch. Yeah, I'll take me and you off this cliff. Yeah, what are we gonna be then? Two bitches in the sea." Yeah, what a great conversation that
I
was. I'm
love
paraphrasing, of course. There's a lot more to it.
right. But yeah, I love that. And of course now you actually get to know how Marcus drives and now how Marcus now drives because of
Right,
everything that's going on. I thought the
right.
stunts was really good for this as well. And he also said, at least you didn't get shot in the ass. And then I thought to myself, that's a call to the second movie that's going to be
Yep.
the second one because he does get shoot in the ass over the
It,
KKK clan.
he does, and if you think about it, at the very end when the wife calls Marcus and Mike Lowry says to him, "Man, you got shot in the leg. Your dick probably don't even work." And then in the
Hmm.
second one, when he gets shot in the ass, and then his wife's like, he's having other trouble, you know, and just the callback between the movies, is perfect, you know.
I agree. I definitely agree. So after all that happens, Marcus, Mike, and Julie chase Fauché's Shelby Cobra AC 427 and Mike's Porsche 911 Turbo. I love this speed chase between them.
Two
Marcus
beautiful
bumps.
cars, by the way. Two beautiful cars.
Be honest with you, the Shelby Cobra is actually my dream car, and the Porsche is also my dream car as well. Um, Marcus bumps Fauché into a concrete barrier, but he manages to escape the wreckage. But I like how he's reading him his Aranda rights. Here's your right to remain silent. Anything that you said will be against you in a court of law. And then Mike's going, "What the fuck are you doing?" Because
Getting
I'm
it
just
out the
getting it
way.
over. I love it. I love that part.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
To where, like I said, it's very Marcus centric. To where he's kind of turned and it takes a lot to piss off Marcus Burnett, but when you do, and it's kind of like looking like when, because think about it, throughout the franchise, whenever Mike is in trouble, Marcus is trying to get away from almost seemingly the entire franchise, but when Mike's in trouble, Marcus is always there.
exactly. He's
You know,
there all the time, always got his bag. Um, then knowing he is beaten, tries to Mike into killing him, which he almost does as a revenge for Max's murder until Marcus prevents it. While on the ground, Fauché then pulls out a concealed weapon and aims at Marcus, but seeing the reflection of on his partner's forehead, Mike spins and shoots Fauché numerous times, killing him. And I like how you have the reflection of the sun reflecting off the gun whenever he sees that his partner's about to die. And also, too, Marcus is also telling, look, man, it's not worth it. It's not worth killing him. Do not kill him. And Fauché just winds up still wanting to kill one of them, at least.
I love the cinematography of that scene when he brings out the gun and it's that four-barreled little shooter, and you're just like, you don't see one of those every day, and you see the go across Marcus's face, and Mike look down, and I love the sound editor of the movie who there's a lot of people outside of the actors of this movie that deserve to win something. And I'll get to that in a second. But the sound editor, after he shoots Fouché, and you're looking at the intense, look on Mike's face, and it cuts to the kind of shocked look on Marcus's face, and then you just hear, "I love you, man." Yeah, I thought that was perfect, to where he was just like, "You just saved my life. I love you, man." So, the cinematography of that shot, because I've watched a lot of movies to this caliber that you wait until the end and they screw it up. But I don't think that they did with this movie, at all. I mean, we could pick it apart, left and right, but I think as an entertainment value, as a cinematography value, or of that shot, I just, it's one of my favorite
cinematography
shots.
is really good. I'm
yeah,
gonna
it's
say
very good. Yeah. Michael Bay, I think he's proved that he knows what he's doing on that. My problem with Michael Bay movies is they typically lack in story. But in quality, they don't. I mean, they're always going to be entertaining because he's going to blow some shit up.
Right, exactly.
You
know what you're getting when you get a Michael Bay movie. You already know you're going to turn your brain off for 2.5 hours and just a popcorn in your face.
That's you might have to deal with Shia LaBeouf. That's fine. I mean,
or Megan Fox.
Yeah, well, that's actually preferred. Right. But I mean, if anybody were to come to me and say the Transformer movies are better than the Bad Boys movies, me and them are going to have a discussion.
I love the Bad Boys movies because the fact that Michael Bay knows what he's doing with these characters, and he's good at original work versus something that's been adaptations of Transformers or TMNT producing those.
Right.
He's good at originality.
Sure.
But when it comes down to other big franchises, he needs to leave those alone and just focus on original films.
Sure.
Let's see here. Sleevy says, "We ride together, we die together. Bad Boys for life." Even though that was in the second movie.
A lot of iconic. I know we're talking about the original here, but I think the original is the funniest movie. If you wanted to go, which one is a better action movie? It's probably the second one. It's just got a different dynamic to it, but they didn't try to do too much with it. But it's also like, if you were to say what's the iconic funny part of the first movie, I would say the very first scene. Or the scene in the convenience store to where the freeze mother bitches, and then he's like, "No, you freeze, bitch." It says, "Put your gun down, step back, put your gun down, give me a pack of juicy fruit, Bubblicious, and some Skittles." Either that scene or that scene, and then the one in the second one is when they're interrogating Reggie. I think everybody loves that scene. If you were to YouTube Bad Boys 2, I guarantee you that comes up, which was totally ad-libbed. But anyhow, so Fouché shot.
Right. So later, after Marcus and Mike professes their brotherly love for one another, the relief in surviving
that line. I have a story about that line.
Okay.
So Will Smith didn't want to do that line. He didn't think that the Mike Lowry's character would ever tell anybody that he loved him. And so Michael Bay said, "Look, say what you want." It got mad at him. "Say what you want. We're losing light." Because that shot is in the sunset. Because we're losing light.
It's a perfect sunset. It's a perfect way to end it on a high note after a big gunfight. And I think that okay, I understand where he's saying, where he's like, he doesn't think that Michael Larry would actually tell anyone that he loved them. But at the same time, you're not telling a woman that you love them. You're telling your
Right,
best friend that you love them. And you will tell your best friend that you love them, even if it's
right.
just between the two of you and it's not outspoken between anyone but you two. So I understand where Michael Bay is actually saying, because that's actually part of who Mike is. He's not going to tell a woman that he loves them because he's a player.
Right. And yeah, he didn't want to have a beef with Michael Bay, so he just went ahead and said it. That was the story. You know, they're doing all kinds of interviews now with the fourth one coming out and stuff like that. So, you know, people like me who send in, want to talk about, a movie that came out almost 30 years ago. Which, in my opinion, is the best one.
I
In my
agree.
opinion, yeah.
So after that happens, Marcus handcuffs Julie, and Mike's hands together and hobbles away, hoping for some much needed quality time with his wife so he could with her and his actions for his actions. And I like how basically, man, your dick probably don't even work
Yeah, you get
or
shot in the
anything.
leg. Your dick probably don't even work. Oh, you want Mike Lowry? There you go,
There you go,
Mike
man.
Lowry.
I'm gonna go home and get my quality time.
Go home and get my quality time. My
Quality
wife
time.
beat me 3 times while I'm out here. Beeped her. For those of you who don't know, in the '90s we had beepers.
Yep. We have beepers, no cell phones, no texting, just beepers, and you
It
better
was
hope.
beautiful, dude. It's beautiful. No one could get in contact with you if they wanted to call it. You had to be at home. I mean, there is a freedom to not having a cell phone, people. And I thought we all think that they're cool, and now we're all geniuses because we can Google things, and stuff like that. But there was a certain amount of freedom to not having a cell phone.
I totally agree with you on that. I had a
Yeah.
beeper when I was like
Yeah.
14 or 15, and I thought that was the greatest thing. I had like a little clip. I thought I was big stuff because I had a beeper. But yeah,
Yeah, my parents gave me a beeper because I stayed out all night one night. Because I don't know if you would believe this, but I have trouble sometimes following the rules.
no,
And
not you, kid. No, no, no.
sometimes, and and yeah, they gave me a beeper, and my dad was like, "If you don't call me back within 5 minutes of me paging you, you're gonna wish you did." And I never tested him on that because my dad didn't really mess around. You know,
My dad. Well, my mom never messed around. Let's
yeah,
just put it that way. My mom was a hard ass on me. So my dad, on the other hand, he was more laid back and stuff like that too. But
yeah,
yeah, now that we stripped away the nostalgia, now that we
okay,
talked about it scene by scene, what is your rating?
okay. So I gotta look at this on a couple of different levels. Okay, like personal rating. It's going to be very high. Entertainment value, it is very high. But are there movie mistakes? Absolutely. Are there cliches? Ton of them. In the buddy cop movie. So I'm kind of like, when it comes to movies, I don't give a total movie rating of a 10. I don't think there's a perfect movie out there. I'm kind of like Dave Portnoy with pizza ratings. So I would give this an 8.2 on the Keb scale of movie ratings, with Empire Strikes Back being 9.9.
For me, I'm gonna go. I believe I gave it like a 8.5. I think whenever I started out with it, so I'm gonna go with at least an 8 out of 10 for this.
Gotcha.
So just a straight up 8. And I love this movie. This is
Oh,
hands
it's
down
a
one of
great
my
movie.
favorite ones. I do not know if it's available to stream anywhere or anything like that, but I own the Blu-ray of all three films. But guys, go on ahead, check out where you guys can stream it from.
I'm pretty sure the first two are on Netflix.
Okay,
I mean,
so
it may or may, it's either Netflix or Amazon. It's one of the two. I'm not sure about the third one. I think that's on Stars, or somewhere, like that. To tell you the truth, I've only seen the third one twice. I've seen the first two probably 50 times each.
Same
You know,
here. To be honest with you, the third one, now that you're thinking about it, I only seen it maybe twice. I saw it once in theaters, and then once it came on Blu-ray, and that was it.
yeah, it seemed like the third one tried to get a little too serious. You know, a
Well,
little, you know,
right.
with Lowry getting shot and all that good stuff. But and then they, you know, I don't know if we want to, you know,
We'll
spoiler
get into
alert.
that.
Huh?
We'll get. How about this? We'll
Yeah.
do a rewatch review of those other two films later on, since
Cool.
the fourth one's coming out, and I know that we're
Yeah.
gonna go see. I'm gonna go see it. But
Oh yeah.
anyways, Kevin, my question for you is: do you
Yeah,
have
man.
anything coming out as far as your podcast goes with the Stupid History Minute or anything like that?
Yeah, I mean we're plugging along daily on the Stupid History Minute. We do have sale going on right now at stupidhistory.net on the Stupid History book for Father's Day. It's almost the perfect gift for a father. If you think the Stupid History Minute is dumb, well then you should immortalize it in a book, because it's just as dumb, just longer. And and we're getting some. Some what's funny is they're selling more now than they were at Christmas, which is
That's
fine.
awesome, man.
Yeah, they've been out longer. It's been out longer, so it's you heard me say. But I wasn't, I haven't been hammering it down people's throats like I was when it came out. But yeah, it's there, and it's a perfect Father's Day gift. It's not Pulitzer Prize material. It's developed to go in the back of your toilet. And I think every toilet in America should have it on there. Mine's on there. You know what? I
I'm
should take a
privileged to
picture of
have
my.
your book on the back of my toilet.
Yeah, thanks. And
You're very welcome.
yeah, and I just think it should be on the back of the toilet in the White House. I mean that's you know what? I wonder if I sent one to the White House, would they accept it? I don't know. But the Stupid History Minute right now, I've been doing the Stupid History Minute. We have almost 700 episodes, and I've been doing it for 3 years. And this month, I have gotten more nice, messages about 1 minute episodes, because we're doing video games. And I did not realize how passionate of a group video gamers are. I
Oh, they are.
guess.
They're very.
Well, I'm the father of two of them, and like they helped me write these. Now I didn't need help writing Centipede and Galaga. That's when I was a kid. Pong, Zork, Oregon Trail, things like that. But like today's episode was World of Warcraft. I will go on saying I've never spent 1 minute playing World of Warcraft, but
Same.
my son loves it. I've never spent 1 minute playing a game called Minecraft.
I haven't
But
either.
I pay for it because my kids love it. And things of that nature. So it was a good blend. And to do this, my son was like, "You should do an order," and I said, "No, we picked out of a hat of which would go on which day." And so that's why you have like today you have World of Warcraft, tomorrow I think it's Super Mario Brothers,
I like it. I
and
like that.
yeah, so but I have never gotten more. I'm talking hundreds of messages. I mean, usually the messages that I get are when I say something stupid on Unfiltered Sports Weekly. That's usually the messages that I get, and I give people my at because I don't want them sending say Joe or Beebs, anything. But yeah, so that's what we got going on. We got a really good series coming out in June and July to get us kind of through up until fall. Still stupid everyday items, and topics. So it's not going anywhere. Yeah, we're if you got topics, stupidhistory.net, plug it in, space right there. And sooner or later we'll get around to doing movies. But yeah, it's still there on Filtered Sports Weekly. If you're a sports fan, you can come in. I mean, we talk about sports sometimes. Usually, it's just us making fun of each other.
That's okay.
But
I'll listen to that.
yeah, yeah. I mean, usually it's just but we're live every Tuesday night, and then the audio version comes out the very next day. So on Wednesdays, and we've been doing that for between the three of us together, probably all the iterations. Probably it's close to 3 years now. So.
Awesome.
Yeah, but yeah, that's where what we got going on.
Okay. Well, guys, that's going to be as far as the show goes. On Tuesday, I will have Pick the Flick podcast with me. We are going to be doing our playlist of Queen. So we're going to be doing a Queen playlist. Basically, what we're going to do is like a mixtape playlist. So, guys, go on ahead, check that out on Tuesday night, 8 o'clock Central Time, 9 o'clock Eastern Time. This will be a live event, and then a couple of days later, it'll be out on the audio format. And then, and after that, next weekend, I'll also have another guest on, and this is actually his first time being on here, and we're going to be reviewing True Lies with Arnold Schwarzenegger. So we're going to be breaking that movie down scene by scene next Saturday, 8 o'clock Central Time, 9 o'clock Eastern Time. That's going to be it as far as everything happening here at Movie Lovers Night. Also, to check out Rossie's podcast called Rossie's Clubhouse. She has an awesome guest and stuff like that from the Sacramento area. She's interviewing another talented indie rapper tomorrow night at 9 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time, and that's going to be 7 o'clock p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And don't forget to visit Unfiltered Studios. Go on ahead, get your pills of support with her. She does a fantastic podcast. Get your Hypno on with Hypno Wellness. Also, to check out the Sleepy G Show. He does a good job at interviewing people. And check out many more that we have here at Unfiltered Studios. We are growing over here. And Kib is doing a fantastic job at finding talent. Just because he hosts a Stupid History Minute does not mean doesn't have any talent. He's great at finding people. He actually found us. So thank you so much for signing us up. We do appreciate it.
No, we love having you.
Love doing what we're doing. Also, to follow the Beat. The Beat will go on ahead. He has a great podcast as well. So go on ahead, check out all those podcasts that I mentioned. And always until next time, guys. Have a great and safe night.